So, the game I'm going to be talking about today is a very old game, and what we have today is quite different from the original product that was released. It started its development back in 2002, getting an alpha release in 2006, so yes, 16 years ago. And it wasn't until December of 2022 that we finally got a full release on Steam. And the full release could not have been more different than the original product years ago. I may not have played the original game while it was in alpha and beta. I tried, couldn't figure it out. But I got it on release day on Steam, and I fell in love with it and played it for hours. So I want to talk about Dwarf Fortress today, this absolutely wonderful game, and possibly enlighten you on your next game. So I don't want this intro to drone on, I'm just going to get right into Dwarf Fortress in today's video. What is Dwarf Fortress? So this game is honestly one that I bet not a lot know about, or if you do, then you probably dare not play it. Though recently, well, in the past year or so, Dwarf Fortress has gotten a total revamp, making it so much different than the original Dwarf Fortress. But it is still the same game that the fans know and love. So what is this magical game that I'm speaking of? Let me enlighten you. This is a game a lot more known after the Steam release, and I bet if you know games like Rimworld or Prison Architect, then you probably do actually know Dwarf Fortress, as it is pretty much just medieval fantasy Rimworld, but with its own twist, as this one was one of the games that not only inspired Rimworld, but even games like Minecraft. You get yourself a group of dwarves that can dig down into the earth, make a fortress. Yes, that's right, dwarf and make a fortress. But your dwarves drink wine and they eat food, so you have to be sure to collect berries and fish above ground before having either enough food and drink or a stable way of getting it, whether it's a farm animals or whatever. Travelers can come, raiders and monsters too, and you just have to maintain your fortress and keep the peace between your settlers. The world is fully customizable from size to age, and with age comes randomized culture into that certain world, so the older the world, the more history, battles, religions, cultures, villages, vice versa. And every dwarf and every enemy, like Rimworld, has their own personality, their own routines, what they do every day, and just make sure that your dwarves don't get depressed and go crazy. Now, all of these amazing mechanics and systems were accompanied by some wonderful graphics, which is another one of those things that are super similar to Rimworld. But those awesome graphics and that easy-ish to learn gameplay was not always like that. So let me go back to the beginning, back to 2002. Dwarf Fortress was actually made by just two people, a man and his brother. Tarn Adams and his brother Zach were the workers of the original game, just them. Tarn had been messing with game development for a while though, one of his earlier projects being a fully text-based game influenced by D&D called Drag Slay. In doing this, the brothers started to learn C programming, and they started playing around with it, and Adams decided to start a game called Slaves to Armok, God of Blood. And it was kind of based off that first game he made, Drag Slay. Now he worked for a while on Armok, but later took a break to work on other games, such as a game called Mutant Miner, which was a large influence behind Dwarf Fortress, as you would mine under buildings, not being able to return to the surface with turn-based combat. But he didn't really like certain aspects of that game, such as only having one singular miner. He decided instead of rewriting Mutant Miner, he could just switch the gameplay to real time and the characters to dwarves, and this is kind of what started Dwarf Fortress. The brothers eventually started a company called Bay 12 Games, opening a website and everything to keep everyone updated on all their projects. Soon after though, Adams let everyone know that he was too focused on Dwarf Fortress and he was really slacking with Armok, and soon enough he decided to totally sideline Armok and focus his full attention on Dwarf Fortress, making it his main project of the time. Armok had players, and with a subscription service to the website, they were barely even making enough to pay the hosting fees, and when announcing Dwarf Fortress, he dubbed it Slaves to Armok, God of Blood 2, Dwarf Fortress. The game being because a lot of the code was shared between the two games, and it was soon just dubbed down to Dwarf Fortress. In 2007, they were finally ready for the release of Alpha, though, as I said, it was really different from what we have today. The whole design of the game was just symbols and numbers. Depending on the colors and the symbols would be what they represented. The only way to know what you were doing was kind of just to know what you were doing, or to do research. But the simplistic graphics were just hiding some crazy mechanics. The brothers packed the game full of story and history, ranging from things that had happened in other games they developed, along with things from certain books and brand new ideas they made up on the spot. They decided to give all the characters and creatures mood systems, along with everything being randomized and unique in those personalities, physical attributes, and combat abilities. It was really like they were making a D&D colony simulator. They even made their own combat system and health and limb system, inspired by Cyberpunk 2020. Yes, 2020, not 2077. Look it up if you're confused. They created biomes and the pros and cons that come with those biomes, and everything was just hidden behind this scary and complex graphical scheme. This is why I said earlier that I had tried to get into the game, but it was too hard for me. I didn't understand what I was doing before the Steam release. Then, after releasing the alpha for Dwarf Fortress, donations started coming in, and eventually they were making a stable enough profit to keep the game and company going without needing any side jobs. Oh, and did I mention that the alpha was free from 2007 until the paid Steam release in 2022? Yeah, free. But even in 2011, Tarn was actually offered a job at a development studio, along with being offered $300,000 for Dwarf Fortress. He refused both. He stated that he didn't think that a version 1.0 would be released for another 20 plus years, but he was not finished and would update that game until it hit version 1.0. It was his baby, though he didn't need that long, because in 2019 the brothers announced that they would be partnering with publisher Kitfox to bring the final release to light. They were finally releasing it in 2022. But prior to that release, the team hired on an economist to make a projection of what the sales might look like in the game. They originally expected that the game would sell around 160,000 units in the first month. They ended up selling more than that in the first day. It's even funny to think that when someone commented on the game after seeing the reception, been playing Dwarf Fortress for 25 years and just waiting for the opportunity to pay $30. And that comment got over 3,000 people saying yes in response. The game had such a successful enhanced launch that the original $15,000 a month income from the free version's donations ended up being $7.2 million in the first month of the Steam release. So I know a majority of this video was just me explaining the development behind the game, but that is because the 20-year history that this game had is absolutely amazing and honestly just crazy. There is not a lot of dedicated developers willing to put that much time and love into a game. It really makes me think of Kenshi, and if you've seen my Kenshi video, then you'd probably remember me explaining that game was made pretty much fully by one person, and Kenshi is another one of those games that took years of love and intense work. But it is not like I can go into Dwarf Fortress's story, as there is actually thousands of years worth of history and story along with it all being randomized. There's no way to actually tell you a story. And I already told you what the game is, so really the development is the biggest thing to talk about. And plus, it's almost impossible to compare the original game to the enhanced. That is one reason that the free version is still up for the ones who already know that game and don't want to learn something new. But honestly, I love Dwarf Fortress. I always watched Rimworld videos, but with all that content you have to buy for the full experience, it feels almost like an EA situation. But all in all, honestly, if you really love strategic colony management games with crazy D&D level lore and characters, I certainly think that this is not a game to pass up. From raging at your fortress getting raided, to laughing at what every dwarf thinks and does, and building levels deep into the mountains, making huge castles in those mountains, all the way to cheating the system and having a surface level base and farming all the animals you can find, this game will suck you in, and you will struggle to pull yourself out of this game, and I cannot recommend it more. And honestly, I think that's about all I have in me for this video. I mostly wanted to teach you all about a game that you probably either didn't know about, or at least didn't know the story behind it. I actually learned a lot from making this video too, looking further into the game, and I love it even more now. If you think it looks interesting, you can grab it on Steam and itch.io now, and if you think I'm interesting or just want to let me know about something I missed or something you love about Dwarf Fortress, throw that in the comments below. If you liked this video, go ahead and check out all of my other videos on my channel channel now, and don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of the new videos coming out. And if you heard any of the music in this video that you like and want to hear more, check out BillyTheWhip.com or just Billy the Whip on any music platform now. And as always, keep your dwarves happy and have an absolutely great day mining mountains.
Glowing like a Ronin, tossing out checks, I'm overthrowing. It lasts forever, my spit ongoing. Old tracks, I'm loathing new tracks. Start scrolling, no trolling like bowling. Knocking down pins, down pawns, no folding. Always patrolling when I can. Ducking Patron, ops are rolling. My raps tracks, no charge.